At the center of all love I stand, and from that center I, the soul, will outward move. From that center I, the one who serves, will work. May the love of the divine self be shed abroad in my heart, through my group and throughout the world. May the love of the divine self be shed abroad in my heart, through my group and throughout
Good evening, everyone, from the Temple of Silence in Finland. And we are here to work on the most necessary task of attracting financial resources for hierarchical purposes. DK has written that it is often considered to be the crux of the whole difficulty, that our sense of values is such that we spend our resources on things that are secondary, tertiary, not the most essential. And I suppose if we review how the money flows, we will find there is some truth to this. The principle of sacrifice is definitely involved, he says, because it will be necessary to spend financial resources. And always a kind of Libran choice enters in there. We have to decide what is most important to us, not just out of habit, because it's so easy to be misled by the myopic habits established over a lifetime. And then when we really look at the world situation, we see a great unfairness. It's another Libran issue. The golden rule is not being observed, and that is a Libran issue. And maybe there are ways in which we do unto others not as we would have them do unto us. Well, of course, Aquarius is a sign of distribution, and if it works correctly, of democratic distribution. And those that have a special ability to earn or to attract money will have to have the heart open so they can help those who don't have that particular ability. But who knows, the other people that they are helping have other abilities which the donor, the giver, the sharer needs. So we can supplement each other in a way that the quality of our life improves. We know from Master DK that the soul is the quality of life. I wonder if we've meditated upon that. You know, we have the life itself, we have quality, and we have appearance. And there are so many human beings today who are forced to live a life of hardship, devoid of the quality that we take for granted. So we must concentrate then on our sense of values. Weekly we do this, and probably it crosses our mind every day, and we try to set aside resources that we can spare and give them to those projects and organizations which offer hope for humanity. And you know, DK is rather uncompromising in all this. He says, and I'm sure people are not happy to hear these words, he says, give until it hurts. Well, I guess he knows something, because to those who give all is given. And the masters of the wisdom, you know, the graduate human beings have given, well, everything that they have to reach the point where they are like a vacuum in terms of the downflow of spiritual resources and even the external resources that they need. They are not in want because they have achieved a degree of subjective and external generosity which is rare among human beings. And we are, of course, headed in that direction. And our great exemplars are not only the Masters, but the Christ himself, who certainly gave all. And then there is the great sacrifice, who is Sanat Kumara, as the extension of the planetary logos. His giving with regard to this planet is unparalleled, and his sacrifice the greatest of all. When Christ was called good by his disciples, he says, "Why call you me good? Only God is good." And I'm sure he was referring to his Father in heaven. So we're on our way to seeing the need for pouring forth everything we have in the good cause, which is the divine plan and which will uplift humanity, which is now in a very difficult state of stress and unfairness and war and corruption, all those states which inhibit, which prevent, which blockade the reemergence of the Christ. So indeed we are responsible, and we just have to do the best we can to contribute to the good that is emerging within humanity, but which needs the resources to support it. And of course, resources, yes, they are one thing, and one's dedicated presence and learning and loving, all of that has to be contributed. So let's find ourselves in our meditative attitude, and we'll go through the process of what Master DK gave us in Discipleship in the New Age, Volume 2. And the principle is, to those who give shall be given, so that they can give again. And let's ponder on that with respect to humanity and with respect, each one of us, to our own lives. It is the law, and when the outflow occurs under the spirit of generosity, spiritual generosity, practical generosity, the law of compensation will be fulfilled. Jupiter rules that, both the generosity and the compensation. We have to be honest before the bar of our own soul. We have to examine and re-examine our attitude towards that which the majority of humanity crave and need, actually, in terms of our present setup. Adequate financial resources, and so we have to answer certain questions repeatedly put to us. It's not enough to answer them once and for all. One has to think and rethink. So in soul alignment and answering as much as we can as a soul, the first question: if money is one of the most important things needed today for spiritual work, what is the factor which at present is deflecting it away from the work of the hierarchy? There are so many alibis we know, and so many excuses, and basically under the spell of superficial understanding, we fall into materialism, where the great majority of human beings can be found right now. Question 2. What is my personal attitude towards money? Do I regard it as a great and possible spiritual asset, or do I think of it in material terms? It would seem that we have to eliminate thoughts that lead to the misuse, the material channeling of money. It would seem that we have to eliminate fear around this subject. So many people are in that state, and many of them, it would seem rightly so, because they just lack what they need, given our present system. An age of spiritual materialism is coming, treating the material aspect of life in a spiritual manner. But so much depends on our personal attitude. Question 3. What is my personal responsibility in regard to money which passes through my hands? Am I handling it, the money, as the disciple of the Masters should handle it? And we have added in a little extra section here to consider this factor called the Hydra, of ancient origin, of course, the story of it. Hercules, the great initiate dramatist of Atlantean days, presented this symbol of the negativity of man run rampant. And the head of the Hydra to be combated, here's the one that inclines towards the wrong use, the selfish use of money. So many human beings are being strangled by this beast and by this particular head, which is very powerful and seems to be a motivating factor for millions upon millions, even billions of people. So, do we know how to, in all humility, kneel and lift this Hydra into the air of the true intuition? Do we know how to do that? It is necessary to do. So ponder on your relationship to this beast within the psyche of humanity. And how are you overcoming it? That's the point, isn't it? That is the point. It, along with, if you think of it as one of the material heads, it's not even the most difficult. The emotional heads of the Hydra are even far more menacing. And the mental heads, well, we have to conquer the illusions. A lot of work to be done. Now we think about how money is usually spent, so often for strictly material purposes. And yet there is a way to see it as a flowing golden substance, pouring out of the hands of the forces of materialism, the grasping hands, and into the generous hands of the forces of light, the Christ, his masters, their initiates and disciples. Let's see that streams of flowing golden substance into the hands of those who seek to fulfill ashramic intent upon the earth. Until the hands of the Great Ones are adequately supplied with this flowing golden substance, they have to lift and heal and compensate according to the human system. They are not allowed to simply enforce the good. And then they are able to distribute it widely, intelligently, and for the building of those methods and patterns which will make the ashramic work on earth a reality. They wish deeply to do this, but of course the law cannot be broken, and they are not allowed to coerce the will of their students and helpers. And thus is the free will strengthened. So to facilitate this, we say together this powerful mantra, where we invoke the help even of the planetary Logos, the one in whom we live and move and have our being. O Thou in whom we live and move and have our being, the power that can make all things new, turn to spiritual purposes the money in the world. Touch the hearts of men everywhere, so that they may give to the work of the hierarchy that which has hitherto been given to material satisfaction. The new group of world servers needs money in large quantities. I ask that the needed vast sums may be made available. May this potent energy of Thine be in the hands of the forces of light. You know, and one has only to think of the billions and billions of, let's call it, you know, dollars for the sake of a generalization, although all currencies fall under the same category, the billions and billions, and how the spending is directed. We know there is enough. If our sense of values were only was only what it should be. And so that's our very first task, to make sure that our own sense of values deals with the essential. So that indeed the distribution, the necessary distribution, can occur. And the pain caused by the lack of this symbol, for money is in a way simply a symbol, that pain can be ended. The time is coming, of course. And Master Moria has said, in the future men will vie with each other to see who can do the most good. So at least in our own lives, let the direction be correct, and we will set an example. And we have faith that it shall be so, because through faith we contact the better situation which already, in a sense, exists. We contact the substance which brings solution, even though we may not see it or have it at our immediate disposal. And so we say together in that regard, He for whom the whole world waits has said that whatsoever shall be asked in His name, and with faith in the response, will see it accomplished. So let us think deeply on this idea. We have to treat this task as if it is our own task. We may not have the will or the right to manage huge sums of money, as is the case in government and finance, but we have the esoteric means and we have the motive. And we can take the responsibility. And so we ask the needed vast sums with faith in the response for, and then we fill in the blank here. I ask the needed money for, and we name it. So let's think about what we're asking for. On behalf of what are we asking? And we have asked, we have visualized, and we can say, we are allowed to do this because. We are allowed to demand because. From the center, which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. All this we do on behalf of the plan carried by the great world teacher and given to humanity in new ways in the coming Aquarian age. It has to be understood that he is a great reality on our planet and not sitting as in distant pomp at the right hand of God, reflecting the projections of smaller minds, much smaller minds. So we do this work on his behalf and on behalf of the Lord of the world and the planetary logos in whom we live and move and have our being. And we say, we have gathered in your name, Lord Maitreya, be with us. And we know that if we are with him, he is with us. Wherever two or more are gathered in my name, there am I. The spirit of relationship is found. And so realizing the importance of continuously providing the very substance which is needed to bring the plan to earth, we make our own plans in accordance. And we attempt to feel true love sweeping through us. And to share that love, because where there is the love, where there is the courage, where there is an adjusted sense of values, the resources will flow and flow in the right direction. And the suffering of humanity will diminish, and the era of its fruition will come, and the first initiation will be taken, and the door will open to many more spiritual possibilities. So let us join in the doing of the good individually and through whatever organizations we may find it best to work, working on the cause of freedom, the cause of sensitivity, the cause of the rectification of karma and the following of the Dharma, and then the results of love and brotherhood will emerge. We're going to close with this song from the Reappearance of the Christ. It's about how Christ blesses the world every day from beneath his great pine in his garden, and how he sounds the great invocation every day in blessing to the world. Love and many blessings to everybody, and thank you for being here.